evening. I'm Byron Scott with the CTV News Update. Democratic leaders in the Maryland General Assembly are calling for an oversight hearing. At issue is Governor Hogan's new Chief of Staff, Roy McGrath, who voluntarily left his job running a state agency with a six-figure severance package that included a year's salary. McGrath, who was with Maryland Environmental Services, was making more than $230,000 a year. His new job as Chief of Staff pays more than $230,000 a year as well. A member of the Maryland Environmental Services Board made the motion to grant the severance package. Senate President Bill Ferguson and House Speaker Adrian Jones released a statement saying it shows a clear lack of judgment. Well, the Maryland Health Department today reports 715 new COVID-19 cases and 12 new deaths. The number of confirmed cases in the state is now nearly 99,000. COVID hospitalization rates, however, are declining slightly. The Maryland County suspends COVID testing at 4 county-run sites. This comes after the state raises questions about procedures at Advagenics, the company that provides test kits in Montgomery County. Health officials say if you had a test at a Montgomery County-run clinic over the last 2 weeks, you should get retested. More than 19,000 Advagenics kits have been used over the past 2 months. Well, incoming freshmen will begin moving in on the campus of Bowie State University on Monday as the school gets ready for the 2021 academic school year. Classes are scheduled to begin on August 31st with a mix of in-person and remote learning. This year, due to the pandemic, things will look a bit different. For starters, there will be significantly fewer students staying on campus, and there will be other measures in place to help prevent the spread of the coronavirus.
All of the students who are residing on campus are going to have a single, essentially. So even if their room was designated as a double, they will be in that room by themselves. Also, all residential students are required to have a COVID-19 test and their results back, negative results back before coming onto the campus. And then in addition to that, as another layer of security and safety for the campus, Bowie State will be providing free tests for all residential students on site when they first arrive. So in addition to them already having a negative test when they come, they will get another test on site to make sure that we're doing the best that we can to make sure that our residential environment is safe for the students and staff.
Chambers says all classes will be held remotely after the Thanksgiving break through the end of the semester. Well, state leaders are calling for more guidance from the Maryland State Department of Education when it comes to reopening schools. Superintendents from across the state held a meeting with state legislators yesterday. School leaders are asking for statewide safety protocols in schools and faster COVID-19 test results. They're also raising concerns about the availability of PPEs once in-person learning resumes. Well, Montgomery County reopens its short-term rental assistance program for low-income tenants who are facing lost income due to COVID-19. The program will provide $600 a month for 3 months. Applications will be accepted by the Housing Opportunities Commission from Tuesday, August 18 at 10 a.m. to Monday, August 31st at 2 p.m. For more information, go to hocmc.org. Well, next week marks the anniversary of a historic turning point for women in this country. Tonight, Patricia Vallone begins a series of reports about the women's suffrage movement.
One of the most memorable nights for women that were imprisoned for the suffrage movement was the Night of Terror.
Colleen Shogan is with the White House Historical Association. She's one of many who have been planning the centennial of the women's suffrage movement. The Night of Terror that Shogan referred to took place in November 1917, when suffragists were abused in prison. When women started getting arrested for protesting or picketing in front of the White House, they began to engage in hunger strikes. Prison officials feared the women would become martyrs if they got sick or died.
So the only real other solution was to force them to eat. And that was done in really extraordinary circumstances. The women were strapped down, and a nurse and a doctor would come into the room and really shove a long tube up their nose then they took a substance of eggs that had been beaten and forced food through their nose.
Those events gave the women much publicity for their cause, but it took many years for Congress to finally pass the amendment. Then they needed 36 states to ratify the measure.
Largely, the southern states were opposed to granting female suffrage through the 19th Amendment. So that was going to be a huge hurdle to be able to overcome. And ultimately, the 36th state to ratify the 19th Amendment was a southern state, and that was Tennessee.
I don't think a lot of women these days really understand the power of what they did. Here, 100 years later, what does it mean for women, what they did?
I mean, I think it sort of means everything for women for what they did. When we think about all the women that we have today, although not at parity with men, but still a growing number, all the women we have today who serve in elected office in any way, shape, or form, either at the local level, the state level, the federal level, all the women we have who serve in judgeships or in the judicial branch. And also the fact that 65 million women vote in this country during our federal or national elections. None of this would have been possible if it wasn't for the suffragists in 1920.
Patricia Vallone, CTV News.
Coming up next week, Patricia Vallone will count down the anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment, as well as have a series of vignettes highlighting the women of that era. Well, Langley Park has one of the lowest census response rates in the state, this according to Maryland Matters. Only 30% of residents there have completed the 2020 census. A population undercount could cost the county millions of dollars in federal aid. The advocacy group CASA has hired outreach workers to encourage residents to complete the forms. The deadline to fill out that form is September 30th. Well, authorities arrest a suspect in connection with a domestic-related homicide at Edmonston. Police have charged 23-year-old Danita Champion for the stabbing death of Dante Ayasu. He was stabbed Wednesday night on the 5200 block of Decatur Street. Police say Champion and the victim were in an ongoing relationship. Well, state police are asking for help in identifying a hit-and-run victim. He was walking along, police say, the shoulder of Route 50 near Columbia Park when he was struck. Now, that was Sunday night at around 11:30. Police ascribed the man as Hispanic or Middle Eastern, about 5'8" and 155 pounds. They say he was hit by a black Ford Fusion, which was abandoned at the scene. Anyone with information is asked to get in contact with police. Well, Maryland may not have seceded from the Union during the Civil War, yet a statue honoring those who wanted to break away from the Union will remain outside the Talbot County Courthouse. The Talbot Boy Statue, which was dedicated in 1916, commemorates 84 Talbot County soldiers who fought in part to keep the institution of slavery in place. Talbot County Council voted 3-2 to keep the statue. The Republican who authored the resolution to remove it had voted to keep it in make that 2015. This time, Corey Pack says it's not appropriate to keep that symbol on the courthouse lawn. Those who voted to keep it in place say the issue should be on the ballot. A local nonprofit is hosting a donation drive to help families in need. The Empowerment Center, based in Cheverly, is collecting school supplies and food on August 21st from 3 to 7 p.m. If you have extra notebooks, pencils, backpacks, or even canned goods, you can drop them off at an organization located at 6490 Landover Road. Executive Director Crystal Owen says this is her way of helping out during the pandemic.
Everybody is stressed, but more so people have now lost their jobs, have struggled with finding food, need support in terms of their children's school supply.
Well, the center plans to hand out those items to the community on September 6th from 1 to 5 p.m. For more information, call 301-322-6060 or visit empowerment-center.org.